Welcome to Ask Dr. Mingle, the series answering your questions about quality programs and the transition to value-based care. I'm Kyle Breckel. I'm a digital marketing specialist at Mingle Health, and I'll be hosting this episode along with Dr. Dan Mingle, founder and CEO of Mingle Health. Good morning, Dr. Mingle.
Good morning, Kyle, and good day to all of you tuning in. It's great to see you again. I am Dr. Dan Mingle, and I'm here to answer your questions to the best of my ability.
We have two great questions today. Please remember that you can always send us a question on LinkedIn or YouTube or email it directly to us at hello@minglehealth.com. Okay, let's get started. Our first question today comes from Hadley, and Hadley asks, how do you think the CMS breakup with the National Quality Forum will affect practices?
Hadley, it's an interesting question. I'm actually not aware of any change in the relationship between NQF, the National Quality Forum, and CMS. I'd be grateful if any of my listeners has some information you can forward to me if there is in fact such a breakup. If there is a breakup, I don't expect it to be felt to any degree of significance by quality payment program participants. No changes in MIPS, no changes in the Medicare Shared Savings Program, nor in any of the alternative payment methods being tested by the Center for Medicare Innovation. There's never been a deep relationship. Neither is critical to the ongoing mission and function of the other. The National Quality Forum is a nonprofit, non-governmental, membership-based organization dedicated to promoting measurement and improvement of the quality of healthcare. Its membership is basically open to anyone with an interest in the topic. 7 of the approximately 30 board positions are held by representatives of federal organizations, including CMS, HRSA, AHRQ, and the CDC. NQF has had, and as far as I'm aware, continues to have an advisory role to CMS on its QPP quality measurements, that is, the Quality Payment Program quality measures. And Medicare, as I said a moment ago, has a seat on the board of NQF. NQF endorsement, or a lack thereof, is a factor in approval of new measurements or retirement of old, but it's not a critical factor in that. That is, endorsement is not required for a measure to be accepted and adopted by Medicare, nor does the endorsement of a measure guarantee its acceptance by Medicare. Every measure in Medicare's Quality Payment Program menu of measures requires a measure steward. That is, some organization or agency that proposed a measure, authors its specifications, and maintains the measure over time to keep it up to date with emerging medical evidence and the needs and capabilities of measure users. I'm not finding any current measures for which NQF serves as the measure steward. If CMS and NQF cease cooperative efforts, there are plenty of ongoing sources of measures and participants in Medicare measure maintenance processes. There's a tongue twister. So again, I think I'm not aware of any change, and if it is, I don't think it's critical to anything you're seeing in the Quality Payment Program.
Okay, thanks, Hadley. Great question. And our final question today is from Lillian. And Lillian asks, is a very small physician group, about 5 clinicians, required to report for 2022?
Unfortunately, Lillian, the answer is yes. After 3 years of automatic exceptions for COVID, there's no automatic exception for 2022, and we expect the public health emergency to officially end on May 11th. So again, no automatic exception for 2023 either. Now, there is an extended deadline specifically for COVID-related hardships that ends or ended Friday, March the 3rd, 2023 at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. It's specific to COVID. It's called the Extreme and Uncontrollable Circumstances, EUC, exception. Application for exceptions are available every year. The program is not specific to COVID, but the extension for the application this year is specific to COVID. Application can be made on the qpp.cms.gov website. If you go to the website, at the very top of the homepage is a policy statement about the EUC, and links to get deeper explanations and to get to the application. It's not a big task to make an application, and I expect you need to have a credible explanation of why COVID was particularly hard on your practice in 2022. But I'm expecting CMS to remain fairly lenient on granting exceptions, but watch for their reply. You aren't off the hook for a submission until CMS tells you you're off the hook. Now, it is becoming progressively more difficult to earn an incentive in the MIPS program, and even to meet the quality standard in APMs. And if you do earn an incentive, the positive adjustments remain fairly small. Penalties for no submission in the absence of an EUC exception are now at 9% of Medicare payments. So there's a substantial amount you can lose by not making a submission. It is relatively easy as a small practice to make a submission that will at the very least prevent maximum penalties, if not take you into the incentive range. If you make a submission, you'll be graded on cost if you have cost measures applicable to you, and you'll also earn a small practice bonus of 6 points. You're liable for the practice improvement category score unless you are granted an EUC for that. As a small practice, if you don't make a promoting interoperability submission, your promoting interoperability points are redistributed, bringing quality category up to 40% of your total score, improvement activities up to 30% of your total score, and maintaining cost category at 30% of your total score. You get 6 quality points for being a small practice if you make a submission, and you get a minimum of 3 points for each submitted measure, independent of your performance level, and even if you do not meet case minimums or data completeness criteria. So again, it can be easy to make a qualifying submission and reduce your total negative adjustment. Though again, with a minimal submission effort, you won't be likely to get into the incentive range. So thanks, Lillian, for the great question.
Yeah, thank you, Lillian, and thank you to Hadley as well. Remember, listeners, you can always send your questions for Dr. Mingle in a comment on LinkedIn or YouTube, or send us an email at hello@minglehealth.com. And thank you, Dr. Mingle, for sharing your insight with us today.
Thank you, Kyle. Thanks to Hadley and Lillian for the great questions. I want to be helpful. I want this to be useful to you. Don't hesitate to correct or supplement my answers. Share your experience. Ask your questions. We can be smarter together.